After a month of uncertainty, Abiy Ahmed is now set to become the new Prime Minister of Ethiopia. He'll be sworn in on Saturday, making him Ethiopia's third Prime Minister. His appointment comes after former Prime Minister Hailemariam Desalegne's resignation. The incoming Prime Minister was the chairman of the Oromo People's Democratic Organization. Ethiopia's Oromia region has seen unrest as members of the Oromo claim political and economic marginalization. Abiy Ahmed is the first Oromo Prime Minister in 27 years. He now acts as the chairman of the EPRDF, the Ethiopian ruling party. Well, let's get some more insights and perspectives on these changes in Ethiopia. Dr. Francis Onditi joins me in studio. He is an international relations expert from the School of International Relations and Diplomacy at Riara University here in Nairobi. Dr. Onditi, what do we know about Abiy Ahmed and in particular his journey to this powerful position as Prime Minister?
First of all, I think we need to appreciate it. It's a big celebration in Africa when we see young people coming into the helm of leadership, especially at the epicenter of Africa, that is Ethiopia. Now, Abiy Ahmed, I think it's one of the youngest leader in Africa, just at 42 being the Prime Minister of one of the most powerful country in Africa. It's a big applaud. We know that Abiy has a lot of respect among the Oromo people, where he has served in different capacities. Actually, the latest being the chairman of the Oromo People's Democratic Front or party organization, which means that is directly embedded within the larger party, which is the Ethiopian, political party. So his journey has been interesting because when you look at his life of reforms, agitating for reforms, even when the Oromo people were really agitating for the change that has come their way, I think he was one of the frontier in terms of when will this largest population of Ethiopian people get into leadership?
Of course, it's very significant that he is from the Oromo ethnic group. There's been a lot of unrest in the past few years leading up to this moment, the community saying that they have been marginalized. Do you think his rise to power will quell that unrest?
Yeah, I think Ethiopia has shown Africa one of the leading, or rather one of the best way of resolving ethnic-related political challenges, which is being in a position to share power, in a country that is deeply divided along ethnic lines. The Oromo, of course, we know it makes up to about 42% of the population out of 100 million people. That means around 35 million are the Oromo. So they have a lot of stake in the politics of that country. Now, Ahmed being from that community, it means that in one way or another, he has actually resolved the problem. We are likely to see actually, calm down among the Oromo people, because the agitation was they needed a share of the national cake. Now, having one of their own being the leader, we are expecting perhaps even people who have been bundled into jails might actually be released. And the people of Oromo are likely to feel part and parcel of the government.
And Dr. Onditi, what else do you expect as far as his leadership legacy or his leadership approach might be? I mean, you've mentioned this is a much younger leader than ones that have come before him, a man of Oromo ethnicity, a man who's been agitating for reform. So how differently will he lead when you compare him to Meles Zenawi or Hailemariam Desalegn?
I think this is the right time for Ethiopia to really to showcase in terms of leadership in Africa. Being a robust leader, being a reformist, being somebody who already has a lot of trust among the Oromo people. And don't forget the Oromo people, these are people who really are revolutionists. They are people who had a lot of share in fighting for the sovereignty of that country. So the kind of respect and trust Ahmed is going to get, not just from the Oromo people, but all the tribes, Amharic, the Tigris, and all other people from northwest, all directions. It's going really to create an avenue for economic development. We are likely to see actually a lot of calm and perhaps being a young person, we might see an opening for real democratic space in that country, because you know that it's quite been difficult in Zenawi's time, even Helmariam's time, you know, issues of human rights, issues of democratic platforms who are not very much open to the society.
Yes.
But with the young Ahmed, we are likely to see that openness of democracy and perhaps also the vibrancy of a young person, maybe trying to really make the potential of Ethiopia as an epicenter of Africa blossoming and showing the way for the rest of Africa.
Well, indeed. Great expectations on the young Dr. Ahmed. Thank you very much, Dr. Francis Onditi, here with us in studio on Ethiopia's new leader. To Ethiopia now, and the country is set to swear in a new Prime Minister. Dr. Abiy Ahmed was on Tuesday elected as the new leader of Ethiopia's ruling coalition. Ahmed is from the Oromo ethnic group and is expected to succeed Hailemariam Desalegn as Prime Minister. Desalegn resigned last month and has been fulfilling the duties of Prime Minister in a caretaker capacity. Ahmed garnered 108 votes out of 180 in a meeting of the ruling coalition. It's expected he will be sworn in soon. So what do we know about Dr. Abiy Ahmed? CGTN's Oliver Jarvis finds out more about the man set to become Ethiopia's new Prime Minister.
Dr. Abiy Ahmed is 42 years old and belongs to the Oromo ethnic group, which makes up the majority of Ethiopia's population. He's the current leader of the Oromo People's Democratic Organization that forms part of the ruling coalition, the Ethiopia People's Revolutionary Democratic Front. He was made leader specifically so he could be eligible for the position of Prime Minister. Abiy has served in the Ethiopian army and rose to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. He's a former peacekeeper in the mission to Rwanda and the former Ethiopian Minister of State and Minister of Science and Technology. Known as an astute politician, he also has impressive academic credentials. Abiy was also the founder of the Ethiopian Information Network Security Agency. The Oromia region where he comes from has been the epicenter of recent anti-government protests. He enjoys strong support in the region though, so it's hoped that Abiy is able to address the dissent. Oliver Jarvis, CGTN.
Let's get you more perspective on these developments now. I'm joined live in studio by Dr. Hassan Kanenje. He is the director of the Hon Institute at the International Institute for Strategic Studies. Thank you very much for joining us today. First off, what's the significance of the new Prime Minister being from the Oromo region?
This is perhaps the worst thing Ethiopia has done in a long time. Remember, the genesis of the protests in 2015 was largely driven by Oromos and Muslims, and later they were joined by the Amhara. Now, the Oromo community is the largest ethnic group in the country, and for a long time it's been marginalized politically, economically, and socially. And so this, I think, goes to serve toward easing some of the tensions historically that have been existing in Ethiopia. And what we are looking forward is a lot more hopeful Ethiopia that hopefully can be able to wait in the democratic space for everybody to participate, given that currently him being Oromo and at the same time he's a Muslim. I think it speaks to the larger segment of the Ethiopian population that has been exempted from government.
It was quite a close vote though. So to what extent does this mean Ethiopia's leadership is divided?
I wouldn't suggest it is as divided as sometimes it may perceive. I think it's just the internal party competition and struggles that has characterized the dilemma of Ethiopia, especially in post-Mele Zenawi era, who seem to have control on state apparatus and the political party machinery. But in the absence of him, of course, we've been seeing jostling for positions and in a bid to succeed the immediate the outgoing president, Haile Mariam. But I think it's just a manifestation of the kind of environment existing in Ethiopia right now. Not to mention, the parties actually won because the ruling party controls virtually all the 547 seats in parliament. And we are expecting that the parliament is going to vote overwhelmingly to approve Dr. Ahmed as the next Prime Minister of Ethiopia.
So then let's talk about the outgoing Prime Minister Haile Mariam Desalegn. What next for him? Will he continue playing a role in government?
Yeah, to the extent of his relevance, I think is going to be determined by the perception that he has within the party. He's a party lieutenant, he's been there for a long time. And of course, given the role he has played as previously during Meles Zenawi and as Prime Minister, I think it's going to be to play a role of an elder statesman, so to speak. And I think the party is still going to seek a lot of counsel from him, especially in this transition, by bringing an Oromo to power, and this is something that hasn't happened in Ethiopian history.
All right, great insights, Doctor. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Had here in studio Dr. Hassan Hanenje.